How do you do? My name is Cherry Blossom Slot, and I am here to review my favorite 3D movie that I just bought, Inferno. Inferno is one of the best 3D movies made that had the best story and plots compared to other 3D movies. And I remember seeing it flat on Movie Channel and Showtime, and they always advertised it in stereo, but the sound was always poor. But when I saw this 3D version, they cleaned up the print, and it was now popping out. Of course, the stereo is still mono, and obviously the stereo soundtrack has been lost for whatever the reason. But all in all, it's a good 3D print, and the plot is it's about Rhonda Fleming, a bored housewife, and her boyfriend, played by William Lundigan, who want to they both plan a murderous plot against her husband Robert Ryan. And so they leave him out in the desert to fend for himself. So he has to struggle each day, like going to a cactus and drinking water, and he fixes his broken leg and he drags while they have a party and trick the cops, played by Carl Betts, who later would play Donna Reed's husband in the Donna Reed Show. And they just have a nice, fun party. But eventually they get their just needs done, their just deeds done, when he surprises them. Now, Rhonda Fleming is good as the frustrated housewife, and Robert Ryan is excellent as the guy they just let him wander in the desert. And the photography by Lucien Ballard was excellent for a 3D movie. And as I said, I've seen it flat, but the story and plot makes a lot of sense. And here it is. And then behind this is the information about it. And it also comes with a booklet. And in the menus it has a flat trailer for promoting the 3D version as a stereophonic sound. And also it has the trailer for the flat reissue in flat. And the only problem is that the ending and the credit titles were printed flat unpurposely, and it interfered in the dimension, third dimension. But well, it didn't. It was okay. But I would say it's one of the few films that were shot in 3D and was excellent, and it was made right during the Robe was being shot. Isn't it an irony that stereo track still exists? And How to Marry a Millionaire. And it is ABC, and also in the menu they interview Rhonda Fleming at the Trinity broadcast by Pat Boone, and she tells how she was a miracle, how she shouldn't be alive at that time because so many bad things had happened to her, and how she became a famous star, and now she devotes her life to charity. And her first husband, who used to run the Man's Theaters in Hollywood, which I also learned from another book, that she and her husband were visiting New Orleans one time and looking at the theaters too. She found another husband and got married. It is definitely a good Blu-ray and worth seeing. I also want to talk about ways of how 3D could continue and not die out. For example, corporate studios and big budget independent filmmakers shouldn't drown moviegoers with a lot of 3D pictures. For example, the films that are made in summertime for the kiddies, they should take considerations of some titles that are worthy of a 3D, but also put out a flat version for the kids who hate 3D and make some other kids' pictures flat. And when it comes to the more mature pictures, they need to make flat pictures and take consideration to a certain amount of films that are worthy in 3D. So thereby people won't get burned out so quickly. And 3D has to continue, hopefully, to the point where they can come up with a way in the theaters to see it without glasses, where it can welcome those who complain about the glasses. They're already putting out experimental 3D TVs without the glasses, but they cost too much, way too much. And they're just as good as those who have to wear the glasses. And we can come up and improve the 3D process, thereby it'd be more welcome. Now, if you don't like 3D, I can understand, but you don't have to get offended as 3D fans. We're not trying to stop your flat fantasies. My dreams are usually in Technicolor, stereophonic sound, and third dimension. Even my nightmares, I'm always involved in it. I don't know about your fantasies. I guess you rather like to watch them. You don't want to participate. Well, maybe that's the way you feel. I became a 3D fan when it had already died out. I remember my first 3D was in the Monsters, the Monster films, the Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. It was an artificially converted photograph of King Kong in 3D holding Fay Ray. I don't know how they did it, but it didn't use red and green. It used Polaroid anaglyphics. And that was my first exposure to 3D. And I was years later I was wondering why they couldn't use Polaroid anaglyphics on double exposure for the films or even for the DVDs, because that would solve the problem instead of that red and green stuff. And I heard they used to use anaglyphic Polaroid in comic books. But I think I know what it is. I think the difference is they used some special polarized paper which made it possible to use anaglyphics in Polaroid that you still can't use on a single strip of film and a double exposure of left and right, or even on DVD. Imagine if it was that way. Boy, no one would know. The manufacturers wouldn't have to put that digital on the television set. That would have solved the problem. But 3D is a complicated thing, and for film, it's either two color, or if you don't got the digital thing, and it's going to mess the color up, or it's going to have to be something built into the television. That's pretty sad, because a single Polaroid anaglyphics could have solved that problem. When 3D came out in the 80s, I enjoyed it, but I knew none of the 3D films were good, and they shrunk the screen down because they're using the vector process, the top and bottom. These days, what's in theaters is basically the old process in the digital. 2 DPL projectors with the lights evenly bright, the interlocutor, but you don't have to worry about something going wrong because it's in a folder now. It's not film. I suppose digital Cinerama could be 3 different folders being projected in 3 different areas through 3 DPL projectors. Digital Cinerama, that probably would make it cheaper to continue Cinerama in the Cinerama theaters by having a digital, or maybe be just as expensive. And they got the vector process. It's called Real D3D, but it's a vector process. It's the same old top and bottom. And then you got to keep the lighting at even both, because if the lighting ain't strong enough, you can't strain the brain. And another thing, as I said, filmmakers should make 3D that pulls you into the story, not everything popping out all the time, because that puts a strain on the brain. Now this is the ideas into keeping 3D alive. filmmakers, studio and independent, need to be moderate about 3D and continue to do a lot of films flat and take considerations for a certain amount of 3D films. And also, they should never have thrown away black and white or mono. There's many subjects good in mono sound and multiple speakers in the theater or your own home video thing. And there's some good subjects that are good in black and white. They shouldn't even abandon that too. It isn't going backwards. It's called variety. But when they're exploiting a process to make the fastest, quickest, greediest profit, they're going to burn the audience out. They're really not serving film consumers. But you film fans, you can put your foot in. I like 3D, but please don't drown me out so much in it. I like to pick and choose, and I still like flat films too. Now, don't stop making 3D, but don't make everything 3D. And as a 3D film fan, even when it was dead and it died again, I remained a 3D film fan, a 3D addict. Even me, it ain't good to always see a 3D movie all the time, even if I don't have to wear glasses. Variety is the spice of life, and I'm afraid that many studios don't get that message. Variety is the spice of life. Well, anyway, this is the best thing to do to deal with being able to protect 3D and continue in the future. And having films like The Hobbit. That is the best 3D series. It's films like that keep it going. But don't always have a video game type story and plot to shoot it in 3D. Make a love story in 3D, a western in 3D, a musical in 3D, a modern day musical in 3D, and in digital 8-channel matrix stereophonic sound. 10 channels of digital stereophonic sound on the vector or on the separate 10 channels all in a folder. That's not impossible. And boy, how the sound will be clear. But remember, I'll consider mono too, just for variety. It'd still be effective all over the speakers. Especially if the subject is not worthy of the stereo. It's just keeping people from getting bored to death. Well, I did as much as I could about trying to say keeping 3D going, and I hope you enjoy the review. And next time I'm going to talk about a book I got. So this is Cherry Blossom Slot. I hope you have a good day. Bye.